FlossTube, it's Lady Robbins. Welcome to my FlossTube number 13. I have made it to lucky 13 and I'm still having a blast, and I thought today we'd change it up and I'd film from my living room. So this is my living room. We've got the tree up and going. I got a poinsettia back there. Got my piano, which I haven't played in forever. I'm hoping maybe in the new year I can get back to piano lessons again, but that means I'll have less time to cross stitch. So it's a little bit of a yeek. I have to decide if I want to give up some stitching time for some piano practicing time, but we'll figure it out. Who knows? There's plenty of time to get it all done, right? That's what I always tell myself, which isn't true because, oh my goodness, there has been little cross-stitching last week. I just didn't get there. I wanted to get there. There were many stitching plans were made, but not much progress. But I'll show you what I did get done, which I did have a finish, which is exciting. And then the other thing I thought I would do is just a parade of previous finishes from years past. So I have quite a bit of Christmas cross-stitch that I did before I kind of got back into cross-stitching and back into this new exciting journey. So yeah, we'll go through my previous finishes, so there'll be some stitching to look at. So if you are new here, guess what? This is a channel about cross stitch. We talk about cross stitch. I show you what I'm stitching on. I tell you my stitchy plans. Yeah, that's what we do. So welcome. For those of you that are returning, I really appreciate you coming back to check on me and see what I'm up to. And I'm shocked, you guys. I was looking at my channel stats just the other day. There are 700 of you subscribed to my channel. I can't believe it. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I am thrilled that there are so many of you out there in FlossTube land and that you're spending a little bit of time with me. Guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to get a mug of the day. That's all right. We'll just have to do it next time. There is only so much time I can hang out in the living room because what'll probably happen at some point is a truck will drive by and my dog will bark, and then she'll have to come in and tell me about it. So there's a chance that you might get to see my dog, who I think is adorable. She's a sweet old lady. She's 11. So if you see a dog sighting, her name is Angie, and yeah, we'll see if Angie shows up. I don't know if she will, but she might. So, let's see here. Let's see the date. Aha, we should tell you what the date is. I am filming this on Wednesday, the 18th of December, and I will try really hard to get this posted today with show notes, but if I don't get there, I don't get there. I'll just do what I can. I am behind. I'm behind. My normal, Christmas mode is I like to have all my shopping finished by the 15th, and I like to have everything wrapped by the 20th. So I have like that 5 days where I can go, oops, I forgot this, oops, I forgot that, and I can kind of, you know, do those quick little trips and get everything polished off and not feel too stressed. And it's the 18th and I'm still shopping. I don't want to still be shopping on the 18th, but I am. So that's the reality of my situation. Shopping is not done. I've wrapped nothing. Nothing is wrapped. Those wrapped presents back there, that's my husband. He has decided, and he's very smart. He has decided that when a gift comes in, he just wraps it right away. So I wish I would have done that because I'm going to have an all-day wrapping session, but oh well. I'm not mad. That's just the way it goes. And then I do have some baking and some cooking that I need to do because I'm going to host the family for the family meal on Christmas Eve, and then also on Christmas Day we're gonna have the family here again along with some friends. So there's lots of shopping and baking that needs to happen. Oh my gosh, I hear the dog. So let's get to the cross stitch. I'm gonna show you my finish, and it's right down here, so excuse me. Okay, so I know I've told you about the ornaments from, oops, excuse me, these guys from Lila's Studio, and I got the reindeer finished. The reindeer is officially finished, and I'm gonna get that completed here. But the reason I'm not working on that right this second is I started a second one, and I've got the border done, and the one I'm gonna do is this cutie patootie little cardinal. So I'm hoping, because it doesn't have as big of a banner as the deer did, where the banner was all the way across, it just is up in this corner, that maybe this will go a little bit quicker. My sewing machine doesn't sit out, for lack of a better word. I have to, you know, set it up and bring in a table and a chair and all that stuff in my craft room. So if I know I'm going to be using my sewing machine, I kind of like to get everything kind of assembled and put it out and do my thing and then put it away. So until I get the second ornament done, I'm not going to work on the finish of this guy. So that's my plan. That's my finish, and that's my plan. My plan is to work on that cardinal ornament this week and see if I can get that finished. So this weekend I could have a finish and get it on the tree behind me before Christmas Day. So that's my plan. I am not looking at the School of Magical Stitches or Enchanted Stitching this week. I'm just letting that go because I know what I want to stitch on, and because of that I'm just gonna kind of have a little focus. And out of the corner of my eye I see Miss Angie coming. Yeah, there she goes. Yeah, she's a cute girl. She's got a white tip on the top of her tail, and it's really funny when it's dark outside. You know where the dog is because you can spot the tip going through the backyard. Hi, baby. So, okay, so that's what I've been working on. Those are my plans. And hey, Squirt. Sorry. Easily distracted by dogs. I'm just gonna tell you now, I love dogs, and I'm always spotting the dogs in the car as we're driving down the freeway. I'm like, oh, there's a dog, look, there's a dog. I can't help it, dogs and I, we're like this. I love dogs. Okay, so previous finishes. I'm gonna do a quick little parade of FFO'd object, fully finished objects from years past that I break out and decorate my house with. So I want to show you those things. Most of them, I don't have a clue who the designer is. I don't know what I stitched it on. It's just stuff that I did back in the 90s. So we'll just take a look at it. I just wanted to show it to you and wish you all a Merry Christmas. So I'm going to start with Prairie Schoolers. I really like Prairie Schoolers, and when I think of Prairie Schoolers, oh my gosh, I can't say that. When I think of Prairie Schoolers, I think of the Santas. And when I got back into cross stitch about 7 months ago, honestly, I don't think I knew that they did stuff besides Santas. So the ones that I have to show, they're all Santas. So here is this guy. And I have kept my Prairie Schooler charts. So if you're dying to know which year this is, leave me a comment down below and I can go pull the charts and I can tell you. But this one, I just love this guy. I stitched this for my Grandpa Thane on my my mom's dad, and Grandpa Thane loved to garden, and he was an early riser, and he would get up, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and he would spend like 2 hours out in his garden before he would go to work. And he was a master watchmaker, so he fixed everybody's watches and clocks and grandfather clocks and all that stuff. And so Grandpa Thane, when he wasn't using his watchmaker tools and dealing with all those little itty bitty pieces, he was in his garden, and that was his joy. So when I saw this gardening Santa, I knew this was for Grandpa Thane. So he had that for a couple of years before he passed, and when he passed, the family thought that I should have it again. So I'm happy that it's living in my house, and it makes me incredibly happy to look at that. So that's one of my first previous finishes that I wanted to show you. And then the next thing is 4 Prairie Schooler Santas. Man, I can't say that. Oh well, you're just gonna have to give me a little grace on that. Apparently I can't say that. But what I did was I stitched 4 of them. I might have to back up a little bit here. And then I decided that I would put them in a quilt. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am not a quilter. So if you ever come to my house in Christmas time and see this thing, you're going to be like, yep, she's not a quilter. So here is my little wall quilt, and I'll bring that up so you can get a look at the different Santas that I've stitched. I love that guy with the pineapple down by his boots, and this guy with his toys. So yeah, so I stitched those 4, and then I put the little red trim around each little piece, and then did the the banding. And then I don't know if you can even see it, but I hand quilted around here, and it doesn't show up very well on camera. Honestly, it doesn't show up all that great in real life either, but that is a holly leaf is what I stitched all the way around those. So there is the 5 Prairie Schooler Santas that I've done in years past, and I have to admit, I was looking through my patterns the other day and realized that I have a number of years where I neglected to pick up the Prairie Schooler Santas, and I made a list of the ones that were missing, and I think I found, it was 5 of them were available through Jen's Stitching Niche Etsy shop. And so I have ordered those up to kind of fill in the holes. And I don't know what I'm thinking about those, but now that I'm looking at these again, I'm thinking I need to kind of get back on the Santa stitching bandwagon, because I sure enjoy looking at those. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I'll at least try to start with the most recent ones and then maybe work my way back, and I don't know what I'll do with all of them, but maybe do a few and see where my stitching leads me. So that's where I'm at on Prairie Schoolers. And then let's see here. This I know was a kit. This was a kit, and it says, "Love and joy come to you." And I think it's Lori Birmingham, I think. Isn't that guy cute? So, there's a little charm up here. And then, yeah, he's got a bell. I don't know if I can show that'll show up, but there's a bell on the top of his little shoe there. And then there's a few little little buttons, star-shaped buttons. So this was, I remember stitching this. I stitched this when I was working in the reservation area for Northwest Airlines. I remember sitting and stitching this at work between calls, actually even during calls. So this is right by my front door when you come in. If you look around, it would be one of the very, very first things that you would see. So that is another previous finish, and yeah, I put my initials on it, but I didn't put the year on it. And I'm noticing that now when I'm stitching pieces, I am starting to include the year on it, because I'm curious, you know, when did I do that exactly? Like these, I know they were all probably in the 90s, but I don't know why it matters, but I kind of wish I knew, you know, which did I do first and which did I do second. So anyway, yeah, I wish I had kept a record. And that's one of the things that I'm thinking that I want to do starting in 2020 is make myself a little journal and write down what my whips are at the beginning of the year, and then have a completion date next to them so I have a record, because I think it would be really fun when I have got a whole year where I'm stitching, so I can go back and see, you know, where did I start and where did I end the year. I don't know about you. Do you do stuff like that? Let me know. Do you have a system for tracking what you stitched throughout the year? I'm watching the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch Facebook group, and the gal who is in charge of that, Jen Lee, she just put out a, oh, what do you call it? Kind of like a cross stitch planner for the entire year. It's you can purchase it and then download it, and I'm kind of curious about that, what she includes on that. If you are doing that, or maybe you've made up your own thing, would you shoot me a comment? Because like I said, I'm kind of curious how that works for people, because I think it would be super fun to, like I said, to know at the end of the year what you stitched. Okay, so back to parade of previous finishes. So here is another one that I did. Ooh, there's gonna be a big old glare. Sorry, people. So this I can tell you, this chart is by The Heart's Content. And I don't know if it's out of print, but when Sumi Lynn and I went to, you know, the redo of the Spirit of Cross Stitch Festival on the East Coast I've talked about before, they had a booth there, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I remember stitching this thing, and I really like the way it's framed. The spacer is wrapped in linen, and you know, it's not a perfect match, but you know, the linen next to the linen I think looks really cool. And I don't think I'm making it up, but I think this is stitched on 40 count. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember stitching this on a 40 count, and I think this was, I think it's 1/1. You know, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, huh, I didn't remember that I probably had, that this was 1/1, but I remember those little teeny tiny stitches, making those little teeny tiny stitches. So this is one of my favorite pieces that I've done in the past. So anyway, Heart's Content. I know that that's the designer of this guy. And then I've got a big one to show you. It is a great big huge Santa, and I love this guy. I think I might have said that in front of every other one I've showed you, but again, this was done back in the 90s, and This was during the era where you double matted everything, and if you were lucky, you would find somebody that would cut out a clever design on the mat board. And so when I got my Santa framed, I found somebody, this was local in Kent, Washington of all places. There was a place called the Stitching Parlor, and that gal could frame like nobody's business. So I'll give you a little peek at that guy. So Saint Nick comes out every year and is in a place of honor in my living room. And I don't have glass on this. Yeah, I have to admit, I don't like glass very often on my stitching pieces. I don't know, I think I might have told you this before, forgive me if I have. My cousin owned a U-frame shop, and we would always have this subtle disagreement about glass versus no glass, and I was always a no glass person and she was always a glass person. She's like, it's gonna get dusty and you're not gonna be able to clean it and it's more protected under glass. And I was always of the, but what if the moisture gets in there and then the fabric rots and blah blah blah. So because I did not, oops, sorry Shannon, get this framed at my cousin's U-frame, because I really wanted that that specialty mat, I was able to be a big girl and pull on my own panties and say, hey, I'm going no glass. So yeah, I've got a few that don't have glass, but I think Shannon was completely correct to put this one under glass. For whatever reason, this one with those little itty bitty tiny stitches, I feel good that this one's under glass. So I wanted to quickly shout a couple of people out. I got some stitchy kindness, and I gotta tell you, it made my week. It really did. Now this stitchy kindness is from Melissa, and I talked about this a couple of videos back. Melissa gave everybody that showed up at Acorns and Threads this cute little bag with the black etoile and those fabulous little snips. So I was gonna show this a couple videos back and I couldn't find it on my desk. I finally found it. So I just wanted to shout Melissa out and tell her, thank you. I'm actually using the scissors, but I bundled it all back up so that people could see how beautiful your gift was. So thank you again, Melissa. Finally, I can use it without shame because I showed it on a FlossTube. The other item that I just got a random package in the mail from Bindi Stitchy. She sent me, without me asking or begging, she just randomly sent me her Hildy's Yule pattern. Ah, Michelle, thank you. Last week, I'm gonna confess, last week was the struggle bus for me. I have vertigo. It's not that sexy. It's not a sexy thing to talk about, right? But I have been dealing with vertigo since July. And it's the kind where normally the room doesn't spin, but my floor is always at a 45-degree angle. So I always feel like I'm slightly off balance, right? And usually I can ignore it and it's not that debilitating. It's annoying. Trust me, it's annoying. But I can go to work, I can drive because I don't have the kind where the room spins. Because when I'm seated and I'm holding on to something, you know, my world rights itself. Last week, I decided that, oh, I couldn't just, be satisfied with that. I had to try out, let's have the room spinning. Let's try that for a while, because, I've never tried that. So yeah, let's add that to our plate of nonsense. So I was at church and I stood up and folded my hands, bowed my head for prayers of the church, and bowed my head, and the room went whoom. And yeah, that was no fun. I ended up, oh, it looks great in church. I'm in the choir, so I'm texting my husband, hey husband, my vertigo just fired off and it's bad and I need you to come escort me to the car. And so, yeah, I was feeling ever so slightly picked on. I will confess. I just really felt like, oh my gosh, things are so hard and now I've got this, stupid new form of vertigo, and I was really, really having myself a little pity party. What can I say? Sometimes you just gotta have a little pity party, right? So, for this pattern to show up in my mailbox, completely unasked for, completely without warning, and while these guys are dealing with chemo treatments, floored me. Floored me. Michelle, thank you. You pulled me out of my own little, bit of self-pity, which isn't pretty. Let me tell you, really not pretty. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? So I'm back. I finally decided. I've been horsing around, ignoring this since July. I called and I went to the physical therapist. We're starting treatment. So hopefully we can get this resolved because it's insane. And I shouldn't be so doggone lazy, but I always think I'll just power through. I'll just power through and it'll be fine. And I'm powering through and it's not fine. So at some point you just have to embrace the fact that you need some help. And so there you go. There you have it. True confession. More than you wanted to know. Yeah. So I'm just saying, you just never know. You never know what kind thing you're going to do is going to have a great impact on somebody else. So I'm thanking you for all your kindness, for all your comments on my videos, for subscribing, for watching, for following along. I just thank you. So that went sideways. Oh, so sorry. Anyway, I hope that I will have time to do one more FlossTube before the end of the year, but no promises. We have company coming, so this might be it for 2019. And if it is, I wish you happy holidays, happy new year. Yeah, I hope you get some time to relax and get your stitching out. Maybe you don't want to stitch. Maybe you want to get your reading out. Maybe you got a good book you want to read. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the year in case I don't see you again. But I will try. I will try to get one more up between now and New Year's. But like I said, no promises. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my tree in the background. I can't believe that you barely got to see my dog. I thought for sure I'd get to show off my sweet Miss Angie girl, but maybe next time. All right, you guys, have a good afternoon. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Thanks for looking at my previous finishes, and have a good afternoon. Bye.